is the first cousin of Charles Darwin. And they work together. The Darwinist theory is that the highest form of primate, which was what they felt was the gorilla, was basically exactly the same, was marginally different than the lowest form of human, which they said was the Aborigine or the African. And the ideal was to get rid of the people closest to the ape, and therefore the whole country would, the race. And when they say the race, they meant the white race. And this was a white elitist deal. It wasn't all white people. It was a moneyed elite that had made millions off the backs of slaves. Now we're billions off the backs of slaves, are now willing to spend billions to get rid of them. And we go from, this documentary goes from prior to the end of slavery right up to the day. There's no gaps. Now, you guys all saw it last night. First showing that we had of it. It's going to be available here in a couple of weeks. We've still got a couple of things we got to finish on it and get it duplicated, and we're going to have it available, called My Alpha 21. I think...
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to look at. It really is.
I'll tell you, I think it's going to change this whole battle, because it's going to bring a group of people in here that have stronger pro-life sentiments than the people that are already here,
right,
but they've never been involved in the pro-life movement. And when black people get activated in this thing, I don't think we can underestimate the level of influence and the way that's going to change things. First off, all of us old dogs that have been around forever, even somebody young like Kristen, we need reinforcements. We need to look behind us and see coming over the hill a bunch of new fighters. And when this thing hits the black community, which we've got plans to get it widespread within the African American community, when it hits, I think we can look behind us. We better not get trampled as they come storming past. But I think this thing is going to change the complexion of the whole pro-life movement.
Mark, I was thinking of just a one-word description, and I thought about it all last night. And I believe that this video is explosive. The fuse has been lit, and it is ready for a huge ignition. And once that thing goes off, when this video gets in the hands of the African American community, heck, just anybody, really, anybody with a conscience,
right,
they are going to be furious at the white elite, eugenicist, godless Darwinists that are running this country, running the world, and the veil is coming down.
And we tie all of these people together. The eugenicists, we show how they were tied to Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist. You can hear these Margaret Sanger defenders say, well, she was never really part of the eugenics movement. She tried to merge American Birth Control League. We found the documents where she tried to merge it with the American Eugenics Society. She tried to get them to produce a common newsletter. This woman was an avowed racist. We tied them to the Nazis. We show the incredible influence that the American eugenics movement and people associated with the Birth Control League had on the Nazis. And
they implemented it over there.
They implemented the stuff.
You know, the other thing that's really powerful is this isn't, you know, we want to have this Democrat versus Republican nation.
Right.
You're the Democrat or Republican. You know what? Your video proves that they're one and the same.
They're one and the same.
They're
right.
exactly the same ilk.
Right, exactly. That the stuff we found on these presidents that have been worked behind the scenes.
They're all controlled by the same
right.
elite.
Right.
And so that's the problem.
The moneyed elite have always been in control of both parties and still are. And
that mindset was just godless and atheist, but also that was some of the most bigoted stuff I've ever seen. I tell you, at the end of that documentary, I remember what was moving for me, and I'm one of the people that actually saw the scripts and all that stuff coming up, and I was still moved by Mark. And I remember behind me when we turned around and looked at Marie and Antoinette, these two black sisters, and they had tears coming out of their eyes. Marjorie they had tears coming out of their eyes.
Well, that was one of the things that kind of shocked me, because when it was over, I walked to the front to answer some questions and stuff. And when the lights came up, I saw that there's three of them. All three of those black women sitting together, all three of them were crying, and I thought, man, we've hit a home run. Because if we can have that influence, and they can, and it's like they told me, I don't think, there's a few things that we've brought out here that they never had heard before. But most of the stuff, they'd heard it, but they had never connected all the dots and saw how this fits in with this and how this fits in with this. Right. And what we did is just did it on a timeline going from, like I said, before slavery ended to today. And it is crystal clear. And we've got it fully documented.
Yes.
It's
irrefutable.
Right. Yeah. And we're going to enter it in all these film festivals for documentaries. If we don't win, it'll only be because of the subject matter, the prejudice against the pro-life. Because
it's as good a documentary as any out there, and I watch tons of them.
Right, I watch them. I'll tell you, I'm not going to just say this, but just because we did it, the production values in this piece.
Excellent. I think that's what's going to make it too. Because a lot of times pro-lifers put together videos, and you can tell they're not of quality production. But this is a professionally produced, and it looks professional. I think that's going to add a whole nother tone when you go to these college campuses for our work, because students will see right through it if it's not. So.
Right. Yeah, we wanted it to have a certain look to it, and it has that. And we spent a lot of money. We broke the bank to do this, and I'm going to need people to really help us out financially so that we can do the distribution we need and to get back up on our feet financially. Because as you can tell by looking at this thing, it was very, very expensive to do.
Pastor Broden said, "Grand slam."
Yeah. We're going to get the black community activated by this. I'm absolutely 1,000% convinced of it. I can't see a black person watching this and then just walking away and saying, "Oh well."
Whatever.
You know, Mark, Life Dynamics and you have a history of introducing game changers into the pro-life movement. The baby body parts expose, phenomenal. The expose on the child predators, just out of the park. You combine those two, and everything else you've done, this is better than all of these put together.
Absolutely. Totally.
And my hat's off to you. You've got to be congratulated because this is an incredible video.
This is a cultural changer.
Well, I'll tell you, I think I told you guys last night, and we're out of time. So, but this is honestly the way I feel about it. God's hand was in this deal, because whether you're talking about, I wrote the script for it. You know, Carol did all the research for it, and Kyle Rogers here did all the production work on it and editing and making it look like it looks and doing all the neat things that'll keep people watching it. We all far exceeded what we're capable of doing. I'm not talented enough or smart enough to write the script. Kyle wasn't smart enough or talented enough to do what he did. Carol wasn't smart enough or talented enough to do what she did. So we all three agreed that God had his hand in this, and we could see it all along the way. And we are really, really excited about it. And I think the potential for it is, I think the potential for it's unlimited. I don't know how we can.
I can't wait till it gets out there.
No, it's pretty
I wanna
amazing.
See what happens.
I'm not going to predict what I think is going to happen. All I can say, we got a change in the making. We're going to see real change.
Right. And the thing about it is, it's fully documented.
Right.
Back up every word.
Back up every word. A lot of it's with actual tapes and you know, those Nixon tapes, him talking about if the American people ever legalize abortion, it'll only be because they know it'll get rid of all the little black bastards.
I was texting some of my Republican friends during it. I was going, and I've always told them, why do you like Nixon? You know, what's your, and I think they just have this sympathy reaction. I was like, wait, you see the tape I have on Nixon. Now you can't like him.
And the Nixons and the Kissingers, and you know, when you see the documentation we found on Kissinger working for Planned Parenthood, helping them set up their facilities, allowing Planned Parenthood to knowingly break the law, using government money to train abortionists for Planned Parenthood, which was in violation of the law. This is Henry Kissinger, the Secretary of State. And how we've exported this. When you see this documentation on the fact that the United States government openly stated at one point that its goal was to sterilize 1/4 of the world's female population, that is staggering to me. We have the gall, the nerve, to say we have the right to go out and sterilize 1/4 of the world's female population. And the things that we've done in this regard, that we've done to black countries that we would never dream of doing. To England or Canada or anyone else. It's really mind-boggling when you see it. And you see the role that the abortion industry has played in it, and especially Planned Parenthood. And if this video does nothing other than take Planned Parenthood's funding away, if it doesn't do anything more than that, I'll be stunned if it doesn't do more than that. But if it doesn't do anything more than that, and I can't see.
I tell you, blacks will never, ever want anybody who would even think about funding Planned Parenthood after seeing this mess. Right. You know, a lot of people wonder why you know, because a lot of times a black, they even look at me, and every time they do, we just, whoa, we're flying off town. The truth of it is, we came to a revelation about something. People think the riots that happened over Rodney King beating, you know, whoa, what the blacks? No, it's just the blacks always knew the folks were getting beat. It just took a chance for them to actually see it. And once they saw it, they said, and the reality of it set in. And this is what we're dealing with now. There are things that blacks have always suspected in the back of their minds for years, and the Black Panthers and everybody else were right.
Right. They knew it.
And they knew it. But now for people to actually getting ready to see what's getting ready to go down, oh, you're right. There's unlimited behind this one. That's all I'm going to say. Ordinarily, I would say we probably need somebody to grab somebody to hold them out before they don't run out. But I'm not even going to hold nobody back now. Yep. It's time that people really saw what was going down. And it's time for blacks to really not only wake up, but be the people that we're called to be in crisis situation like this. Because otherwise, if we don't, I tell you what, when this thing come out, every black's coming off the slave plantation. Right. Everybody's coming off the plantation.
What's interesting though, most of our audience last night, we didn't have about 30 people for just this initial viewing. Most of our audience was white, and a lot of them told me they were really emotionally impacted by this. They didn't have any idea all this was going on. So it's not going to affect just black people, but it's going to especially affect black people. Yeah. And anyway,
how it affects black pro-choice politicians. That's who I want to see. I want to see them watch. I want to see Barack Obama watch this movie and then get out there and defend Planned Parenthood's actions.
I tell you what, I know one thing for sure. When blacks see this, there ain't gonna be no black pro-choice politicians.
There might be, but
blacks are gonna take care of that. I'm serious. It's like a lot of times people think, well, they just get mad when they see a white cop beating on a black. No, blacks get mad if they see a black cop beating on a black. Yeah. You know, the whole thing. There's gonna be some mess after this thing.
Good.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping so. Anyway, what we're gonna do, just to let you know, is that we're gonna put about an additional 15 minutes or so on today's show.